Dear all, I'm extremely sorry from my end because due to some technical glitch, there was abrupt end in the session. We are sorry for that. And once again, I welcome the speaker of the day, Professor Sawpon Dowerah sir, and the moderators, Shiva, Prasad, Milli, and Dr. Protim Sharma. I heartily welcome all the participants across the globe to this evening webinar session, ELTAI webinar session 56 on National Education Policy and Open Distance Learning Systems, Challenges in ELT. Hello. To speak on this topic, we have with us today Professor Sawpon Dowerah, sir. To move on with the session, we have a short video of ELTAI. Please watch the video. Thank you all for watching the video. Now, let me introduce today's moderators. We have with us Shiva Milli, who is working as a Senior Assistant Professor, Department of English, Sip Sagar Girls College, which is affiliated to uh, Dibrugarh University, Assam. He is interested in teaching English language teaching, linguistics, phonetics, and tribal folklore. Uh, he is associated with distance education of Dibrugarh University, Assam, in self-learning management, preparation of self-learning management materials. Sorry. He edited one ELT book named as English Language Teaching, Northeast Perspectives. We are happy to have you as one of the moderators, Shiva Prasad. Welcome you.
Thank you, sir.
And we have with us another moderator, Protim Sharma, who is Associate Professor and HOD Department of English, Dikomok College, Sivsagar, Assam. He holds a PhD from Dibrugarh University, Assam, and postgraduate diploma in teaching English from English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad. And he is a language editor, reviewer, translator, and communication trainer. He contributed good number of articles to the newspapers, journals, and editorial volumes. He has been writing the popular language column titled Mind Your English in the Assam Tribune since 1997. Protim Sharma, sir, we are happy to have you as one of the moderators. Now I hand over the session to Shiva Prasad. Proceed. Over to you, Shiva Prasad, sir.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Thank you, Reddy, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening, ELTAI, speaker, sir, and esteemed participants. I'm extremely happy to be associated with ELTAI in hosting this webinar. We are aware that after 34 years, the National Education Policy for India has been updated, revised, and approved on 29th July 2020. The policy signifies a huge milestone for India's education system, which will certainly make India an attractive destination for higher education. Along with other important aspects of education in India, the NEP has underlined the significance of open distance learning, ODL, by stating that all types of institutions could offer ODL programs provided they are specifically accredited to do so. The intent seems to be that it will help realize the goal of 50% GER, that is gross enrollment ratio. With the implementation of NEP, there will be definitely some challenges in English language teaching. And to speak on those areas, we have with us for today's webinar, Professor Sawpon Dowerah. It is my privilege and honor to introduce to you about Professor Sawpon Dowerah. Professor Sawpon Dowerah is one of the renowned ELT Specialist of India, the former director of English Language Teaching Institute of Assam, former academic officer of Secondary Education Board of Assam, and most importantly, he was one of the members of National Focus Group on English of the National Curriculum Framework 2005. He has authored and edited a great deal of works, among them Language and Society, Statistics, Morphology, and New Horizons of English Language Teaching are very, very prominent. Now, it's my privilege once again invite Professor Sawpon Dowerah to begin his session. Now, over to Sawpon Dowerah, sir.
Hello.
Sir, switch on your video.
Hello. Okay. Yeah, it's there.
I can hear.
You can hear me now?
Yes, sir.
But you can't see me.
Yes, sir.
That's
switch on your video.
Yes, I've switched it on, but it's not working, see?
Okay, it will work.
It automatically work on. Can I start right away? In that
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Yeah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. The video is not really working at this moment, but it will suddenly appear. You don't have to worry about it. There we are. So, when I was asked to make a presentation in this webinar with the option of choosing my own topic, I decided that I'd like to have a topic that would be very current, very need-based, and it would be of interest to the listeners. So for this reason, I decided that I should take up this topic on NEP 2020, National Education Policy 2020, and the ODL system, and the challenges that we might be coming across in ELT. These are some of the issues that I'd like to talk about here. So it is basically an exploration of a few related proposals, if I may say so, of the National Education Policy, notably those on school dropouts, open distance learning for students from socially and economically disadvantaged groups, and bilingual textbooks. The whole focus will be, I would like to look at the whole issue from the point of view of challenges in ELT, how it will have its bearing in the teaching of English in the state, in the country. The NEP has identified universal access to education at all levels as one of the primary goals of the school system up to the higher secondary level. Now, when we talk about this, such a broad goal, definitely the issue of school dropouts become very important, and this is an issue which the NEP addresses at the beginning. By referring to a UNESCO report, a UNESCO Institute of Statistics had come up with a very startling finding. The report is that in this country in 2016, a study 1 year, at least 6.2 crore students of the age group of 6 to 18 up to the higher secondary level have dropped out from the school system. And this in spite of the fact that Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan Mission has been trying so hard to minimize school dropouts. Then there is the Right to Education Act that was also trying to, give more and more importance to students coming to the schools so that there is no dropout. And that too, in spite of the fact that there is what we call this midday meal system. It was thought that such a system, the midday meal system, would be one of the attractions, at least in rural, in areas where the economic situation is not very good. At least that would be a good incentive for students to come to school. In spite of that, such an enormous number of school dropouts has created a problem. The issue on school dropouts has been taken as the starting point of my presentation today. With a view to addressing this issue, NEP has come up with proposed two initiatives. One is the infrastructural initiative. It has been proposed that the infrastructure of schools need to be developed in order to minimize school dropouts. Infrastructure development could include a lot of things. Basically, what comes to mind is drinking water, toilets, then girls' common room. These are some of the very common issues that are that contribute in a big way towards infrastructure development, and this is one of the areas that has been addressed by NEP, that is infrastructure development. It seems to me that when this proposal, the list of proposals have been made, when it comes to implementation stage, there should be what we call a program of action, another document to supplement this document, and we can think of a term like program of action, which will throw light on how best these proposals can be addressed. So this is infrastructural development issue which will be taken up by the concerned authorities, and how it will be taken up, these things will be addressed by the program of action, it seems. But the second initiative, which is a pedagogic one, is of great importance for us. The steps involved in this second initiative of NCF, of the NEP 2020, is that number one, the dropout students have to be tracked. Then identified, their learning levels need to be identified, and more importantly, enrolled back to schools. It has been proposed, I quote from the NEP, to provide suitable opportunities for remediation by engaging the best teachers in case they have fallen behind. The second proposal initiative is that the school dropouts should be tracked, their deficiencies identified, and re-enrolled in the classes of the schools that they had left, and provide suitable opportunities for remediation by engaging the best teachers. The proposal for providing suitable opportunities for remedial work by engaging the best teachers for these dropouts who have been tracked and enrolled back to schools requires some clarification. This, I think, should be one of the issues of the program of action. But what I would like to, how I would like to react to this, that I would like to make it clear. The immediate issue envisaged in a practical situation with regard to the accommodation of, with regard to accommodating dropouts who are tracked and enrolled back in the classroom is therefore, it is basically pedagogic, not infrastructural. Now the issue here is, once the student leaves the school, it becomes a dropout. In 9 cases out of 10, the dropouts have lost track of their school courses during their dropout stage. Having brought them back to the classrooms, one is apt to discover that the issue referred to is more than merely a matter of engaging the best teachers for carrying out remedial work. A notable point is that these students have missed out a number of classes in each of these subjects, number of units in each of these subjects, and now they need to be taught these lessons that they had missed, and at the same time they should be allowed to carry on with the other course, with the other students, the remaining part of the course. So the immediate question that rises now is, when will they do it? Two things are taking place simultaneously. They have to learn the units that they had missed out, and at the same time they have to study continue with the rest of the units with the students if they are brought back to the same class, same section. That is one thing. So a related question would be, are the dropout students going to be accommodated in the same section / class, or a separate arrangement will have to be made for them outside the school routine? That needs to be clarified in the program of action. Ideally, there has to be a separate section for this category of students, where the task would primarily be on teaching the missed out lessons in each subject of the prescribed courses. This task should be followed up by carrying out remedial work to bridge the learning gaps of the dropout category of students. Alternatively, one can think of an option of arranging extra classes beyond the stipulated school routine to handle the missed out classes. However, there are matters that need to be addressed when arrangements for extra classes are made for the dropout students to do the left out chapters after the normal period is over, class routine is over. There are teachers. Now, are the teachers who are going to be engaged for this work, are they the same teachers of the school, or will they be different teachers? If they are the same teachers, there is one problem. The problem is they have been working from, let us say, 9 o'clock up to 3 o'clock continuously, at least 7 periods. And after the class is over, they have to be engaged for the dropout students to do the leftover units with them. That would be, too much painstaking, and one wonders whether the quality work will be available for the students with the same teachers. Now, if we think of separate teachers, then there is again the question of budget provision. Will the school be able to engage separate teachers for this kind of work? These are things that need to be addressed when we talk about, bringing back the students from to the mainstream, to the schools, the dropout students to the schools, so that they can be linked to the mainstream. A remedial work will come, definitely, to bridge the learning gaps. But before that, definitely, there are units that they have never learned at all. Those things have to be taken care of. And therefore, the program of action, the proposed program of action, should address this point in a very comprehensive way so that no confusion arises. And there should be a kind of a directive also as to what would be the maximum working load of a teacher in school. 6 periods, 7 periods of 40 minutes, or how many periods will a teacher be competent enough to do this, and that too, in addition to the co-curricular activities that is also there. Actual teaching in the classroom, these things need to be worked out in greater detail in the program of action. So, this pedagogic angle, which I am referring to for remedial teaching vis-a-vis teacher empowerment, teachers is for remedial teaching, one needs to be given some kind of training. Some orientation is necessary. Suddenly you engage a few teachers that you will engage your students in remedial work. It is a highly specialized job. And for this specialized job, that is one, trying to identify the learning gaps. That would be different from different students. Two, what kind of remedial activities can be given to students? These things have to be planned beforehand very nicely, and especially for a subject like English, one needs a lot of orientation in remedial teaching. The NEP has proposed that the teachers will be given constant opportunities for self-improvement by introducing them to the latest innovations and advances in their profession. Hence, priority areas have to be identified for orientation. Obviously, remedial teaching techniques can be a priority area where teachers can be provided with online teacher development modules so as to expose them to the best practices. The proposal of NEP for 50 hours of continuous professional development has to be streamlined with thrust areas in classroom methods, approaches and techniques in the core subjects, and English L2 in particular. The learning outcomes, there's a document by NCERT, learning outcomes, where the learning outcomes of different stages of students have been a very recent publication. We had used that for our new textbooks, and it's a very good document. And documents such as those ones prepared by NCERT can be of great use in developing these modules for teacher empowerment, 50 hours of continuous professional development. Now, professional courses through ODL system can be an effective mode for teacher empowerment to achieve the goal of competency-based learning and education. This is something that can be explored, ODL for teacher education. This is not new, definitely. This mode of teacher empowerment has been in use for several national used by several national institutions in the country. The ODL program by CIEFL, now EFL University, for teachers of English, teachers of colleges and schools, leading to certificate courses, diploma courses. It can be a very appropriate success story for other institutions to share. They have built up a pool of resource persons that have been doing wonderful work throughout the country. I've been aware of some of these teachers who have been teacher educators with their diplomas from Hyderabad. And definitely, such kind of empowerment through ODL system can be a good starting point for the training of teachers, empowerment of teachers. In fact, NCERT, all this began in the 70s. NCERT began a program for evaluation. And the impact was such that throughout the country, the program of examination reform had come up in a very big way. Now with the NEP 2020, when things are moving ahead, we are talking about a course, evaluation of a different nature. NCERT can definitely contribute in a big way by its program of examination reform. Now, one of the strong points, I should say, of the NEP 2000 is that besides dropouts, there has been a proposal for students from socially and economically disadvantaged groups. The aim is to, I quote, broaden the scope of education to facilitate multiple pathways to learning involving formal and non-formal modes. So, unquote. It has been proposed to expand the ODL mode to meet the learning needs of socially and economically disadvantaged groups of learners who are not able to attend a physical school. It is a welcome recommendation, definitely, in view of the fact that subsequent to the announcement of NEP 2020, the world has been facing the worst pandemic situation, requiring closure of education institutions up to the postgraduate levels. In Assam, with the closure of education institutions from the school level up to the university level, since 22nd March 2020, as per directives of the state government, classes were started in the online mode, which is continuing even today. There's hardly any choice left to cope with a sudden situation like this. To tide over the crisis, there has grown the necessity. This is important. What kind of necessity has come to tide over this issue? Necessity for compromising with courses at various levels, notably curtailing course materials. Earlier we had 6 chapters, prose chapters, 4 poems. Now they were curtailed. Curtailing course materials, then by dropping chapters or units which students have to otherwise read, then developing mechanisms to modify public exams by following an evaluation procedure that is either online open book exam. Now, open book exam question papers are quite different, but using the old question papers for online, open book exams. And then you have, or administering exams with question papers of curtailed courses, and even working out strategies to announce results even when no exams were held. In these situations, the desired objectives of the prescribed courses in the syllabuses are likely to be affected. ODL as a viable option can be further expanded to cope with such situations. The range of the proposal of NEP 2020 for using ODL mode for the socially and economically disadvantaged groups of learners could possibly be extended to other students as well. But then there is the problem of identifying a dividing line as to who belong to the socially disadvantaged group and not. It's a very crucial issue there. So by taking decisions on the stages where ODL mode would be operative as an option to the face-to-face mode, we come to that point. I'll discuss this point a little later. The next stage would be the development of textbooks and side-by-side self-learning materials. Now, ODL materials are materials which are known as self-learning materials. They are free from classroom interaction process. There aren't any teachers. The materials have been developed in such a way that students can understand. There are stages of self-check, going back again to what they have not been able to follow. And in this way, in a roundabout way, they go about. And that is one of the techniques of programmed instruction, which is followed by ODL clientele. Now, what is important? The issue that I want to raise here is very crucial. We are thinking of developing textbooks on the one hand, new textbooks, and ODL, open distance learning, for one section of students would require a different variety of materials. Will it be possible, both time-wise, both financially, to develop two different sets of materials for the two different types of students? And yes, one can say that at a national level, a single textbook will be made available, single textbooks will be made available for everyone. But the point is that single textbooks can be feasible only in subjects like general science, general mathematics, and to some extent, about 80% in language subjects. The rest, social science or whatsoever, you have to rely upon, local culture, local spirit. A student from Assam, for example, knows a lot of things of what's going on in Punjab, what's going in Tamil Nadu, but he doesn't know what's going on in his next district or in his own town. He doesn't know the name of a single river in the state. That would be a disaster. So, these are issues that need to be addressed when we talk about textbooks. But content-wise, there is always, matter of adjustment. But the most serious issue now, listen carefully, is the medium, language medium. I have with me a bit of startling information. In Assam, any textbook except English textbook has to be developed in 6 medium languages: Assamese, English, Hindi, Manipuri, Bengali, and Bodo. The same textbook, same level, same content, but in different mediums. You'll say, you'll translate it. Yes, you will translate it, but you have to translate it from English. It has to be written first in English, and then perhaps it would have to be, developed. The medium languages will have to develop. And how many translations? We have these core subjects. In addition to that, we have 19 elective subjects. And these 19 elective subjects in class 9 and again 19 in class 10 will have to be translated into 6 medium languages. And a stupendous task, I should say. And again, transforming them to SLMs for distance learning mode, again in different mediums. This medium is a very crucial matter, you see. If you drop out one, there would be serious problems. So you cannot play with medium. whatever medium, you have to abide by the medium. You have to prepare materials in the same way. What we can do, perhaps, this document, I've got from that PDF, I got a photocopy of this, Ministry of Human Resource Development, the National Education Policy. At the beginning, there is a very interesting observation that textbooks need to be flexible. Yes, the word flexible means a lot of things. Lot of things. I'm thinking of flexibility at this moment from an angle which I don't know if those experts who were developing this material use the word. Is it in the same sense or not? I'm not sure. But what I'm talking about when I'm talking of flexibility is to bring together the SLM technique and the non-SLM techniques to develop textbooks, to develop reading materials. You can call them textbook, you can call them instructional material, whatever, by whatever name you call it. It can be used both as SLMs, self-learning materials. It can be used both as classroom materials. If that kind of flexibility is achieved, then it would be in the fitness of things to develop the materials in this way, so that it can be the SLMs can be made both useful for those students who are doing by the ODL mode and those who are doing by the face-to-face mode. The same type of materials can be developed for this purpose. A related issue with regard to materials production and textbooks development is the issue on the proposal rather of NEP to retain the three-language formula. It is very nice to hear that. The three-language formula had been with us for such a long, long time. And NEP, the National Focus Group on English, and the NCF 2005, as I was introduced, I was a member of that committee, and we had strongly recommended that this three-language formula should continue, and that has been taken up here. Is very heartening to note, because it gives us it lets us know the position of English in the curriculum, English as second language. And what is more, and another important issue that is brought out here is that supposing they're talking about bilingual textbooks, that is from classes 6 to 9, bilingual textbooks will be developed so that students who are, doing, let us say, Assamese and English as their first language and second language would be learning the two languages side by side. That is, they don't learn English only in the English classroom. English is learned across the English curriculum. Language across curriculum, a term which was used by NCF 2005. And especially we were talking about this issue in NFG, the National Focus Group of English. And there we were talking about language across curriculum. And this is one of the issues where from beyond the English curriculum, we have been able to do this. Now, this issue of, using bilingual textbooks has a very interesting bearing on language development, especially on second language development. It has always been argued that the first language can facilitate the learning of a second language. There was an earlier notion, a notion which is still current in B.Ed syllabuses. I've seen one of the questions that is set is pull of the mother tongue, a concept called pull of the mother tongue, that is mother tongue interference. The argument is that the mother tongue always interferes in the learning of a second language. Research has shown that this is not the case. Second language, the first language can be a facilitator towards the learning of the second language. For example, we can talk about the Canada experience. In Canada, there are immersion schools where two languages, French and English, are taught simultaneously. French children and English children in a bilingual country are put to the same class. They use bilingual textbooks so that at a certain stage of development, they become fluent users both of French and English. So same would be the case here. From classes 6 to 9, they learn those subjects like science, mathematics, and other subjects also bilingually, so that at the stage of beyond class 9, let us say at the beginning of class 10, they should be able to tell us, talk about social science in English, science projects, discuss science in English. Assamese medium students, I'm talking about Assamese medium students, would be able to explain things in English with this kind of a bilingual textbook system. So that way, it has a very important bearing on the learning of English in schools. Now, it is concentrated only in one class, in the English class only. Whatever be the method, whatever be the textbook, the exposure to the language, to the second language, is extremely limited. Beyond the classroom, there's hardly any opportunity for students to hear English, use English in an authentic situation. But here, when they have bilingual textbooks, definitely it would be a good step towards the development of English among the students. So I would say that this recommendation has great significance in the context of ELT, as it lends support to this theory that it can help us in a big way towards the development of second language in a more comprehensive way. So it would be of great importance to this towards the development of English. Now, at this point, there are a number of questions that may arise in your mind. We are talking about English as second language.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. We are short of time. You can
Wind up.
conclude in a few minutes.
Yeah. So what I was thinking of, you see, I was thinking of, the kind of English that would be necessary. In fact, David Crystal, the great scholar, I'm very fortunate that I had him as my teacher in Reading. David Crystal, the great linguist, he taught us in Reading in those days. And he was talking about 3 types of dialects. English that we use here, the dialect is used in a different sense. For example, the English used by Assamese speakers, Bengali speakers, Punjabi speakers, South Indians, they have a coloring. The English has the coloring of their mother tongue. Then there is another level, a national level, that is an Indian English variety. Now, which variety are we to be satisfied with? In our NCF, this document, which the National Focus Group document, we had recommended that intelligibility should be the criterion. If I am intelligible to you, you are intelligible to me, that is okay. If what you say is unintelligible to me, you might as well speak, write it out to me. So that would be a disaster. So we have to be very particular about the variety of English that we would expose our students to. They have to be comprehensible, intelligible, and so on. So these are issues that need to be sorted out when we talk about these issues in a different context. Now, what I tried to do here, to sum up, I tried to talk about the school dropouts, how the issue can be addressed, the problems that have to be sorted out beforehand. Then we talked about the ODL system to be used as a mechanism for textbook development, so that whether a student is ODL or non-ODL, you don't know because of the pandemic. Every day there may be closure. We are talking about third wave coming. It could be fourth wave, fifth wave. You never know what may happen. So you should be prepared for eventualities with materials that can be self-learning. And finally, I was talking about the nature of English, how English, the bilingual textbooks can be a great, have a tremendous bearings on the learning achievement level of the students in English. With these words, thank you very much. I hope I haven't been boring you, because if I had what you call this PowerPoint presentation, at least you could have a diversion. Now you don't have diversions, just listening to me. I hope I haven't bored you. Thank you very much.
No, sir, not at all. It's a wonderful, wonderful session. Actually, the participants are struck to the monitors because there is no need of PPT. Your oration is awesome. We have lots of appreciations in the chat box.
Oh, thank you very much.
We have plenty of questions. I hand over the session to Protim Sharma to carry on question and answers. And
do I have to switch it off now?
No, sir.
No need.
No.
You can.
You tell me when I have to switch it off.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. On behalf of all the participants, I thank you so much for your spellbinding presentation, sir. I'm sure we all have benefited from your talk. Now let's move on to the question and answer session. We see there are several questions on the chat box, but because of the paucity of time, we propose to take up only 2 or 3 of them based on the relevance. The first question is from Ramoni P.N. He asks, can ODL systems provide solutions, especially for bridging the gap among learners, or do they need to be restructured or redesigned to serve the purpose?
So, very good question. Very, very good question. What happens, you see, whether it is ODL or non-ODL, there should always be a backing to make the class or whatever the input, more to strengthen the input, if I may say so. ODL material as such is okay, but there should be radio support. There should be television support, audiovisual support should be there. And that will be of great help. You remember that, during the summer holidays, a number of channels, television channels, use the TV to, reach out to students. So those things, in fact, KK Handic Open University has got their own radio. In fact, I had one spoken English program, about 40 sessions of spoken English over the radio. And you can listen to this radio, FM radio, I forget this word, FM radio. They had this KK Handic State Open. They have their own studio also. So that kind of backing would be necessary in order to make the ODL system successful. Just by, distributing SLMs either through the E-mode or through the paper mode. Now we can think of E-mode also. Now because of the high-tech thing, paper being so scarce now, and for deforestation and all that, all these issues are there related. So we'll be happy with e-textbooks as well. So simply by having textbooks won't do. You need to have backing. Am I clear now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very much. The next question is from Dr. Vinod K. Chopra. He asks, so don't you think the ODL school level could itself become the cause of dropouts? Shouldn't the ODL system be limited to a particular age group, say 18 plus?
Yes. I missed that point out. I'm very thankful to Mr. Chopra, Dr. Chopra. In fact, I missed that point out. And later on, I was regretting it. And now suddenly I didn't like to barge in as a kind of a footnote. Thank you very much for calling. I was thinking of 9 to 12, this stage. 9 to 12 will be the stage for ODL, not the lower stage. This is a very crucial stage from classes 9, 10, 11, 12, ODL only for these 4 classes, not the lower classes. Lower classes, somehow we have to reach out to them through not the ODL material. We cannot depend upon them to study textbooks on their own. Thank you very much for reminding me of something which I missed out. Yes.
Right, sure. So one last question.
Yes, please.
Out of so many, it's from Aravindan Jagadeshan. He asks, can a single syllabus throughout the country help to educate all students at equal level?
Well, again, a very good question. A single syllabus will be what we call a core syllabus, a national core curriculum. And this national core curriculum will have to be adapted by state agencies, boards of secondary education for 9 and 10, higher secondary council for 11 and 12, and for the upper primary level there is SCRT. There are 3 agencies in Assam to monitor this: the SCRT, Board of Secondary Education Assam, and Higher Secondary Education Council up to 12. And beyond 12, we have different universities. That's a different story. So up to this part, these agencies will monitor these things. In fact, there is a body called Council of Boards of School Education in India. They organize annual conferences, and I used to attend every conference. I used to, submit a paper, and I used to get the chance to read the paper, and I was specially invited for that paper reading session. So that way I used to attend these conferences, and in these conferences you see all the different boards and councils coming together to share their ideas.
Sir.
Yeah. That's all, I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's now my turn to offer the vote of thanks. Thanks so much for your answer, sir. And now I move on to the next agenda, which is the vote of thanks. First, sir, I must put on record our sincere gratitude to the speaker of the session, Professor Sawpon Dowerah, sir, for being kind enough and agreeing to be the speaker in today's webinar. You have been an inspiration to many students and teachers of English in this part of the country, and I too am no exception, sir. Thank you so much. Next, I must thank the ELTAI webinar organizing committee for giving the Upper Assam chapter an opportunity to co-host this event. I would be failing in my duty if I do not express my gratitude to our honorable participants here, without whose support all this while, this webinar could not have been possible or a success. Well, before we run out of time, now I give room to Dr. Reddy, the host of the webinar, for making few announcements and conclude the session. Thank you. Over to Dr. Reddy.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Protim Sharma, and thank you, the speaker, Sawpon Dowerah, sir, for an excellent session. And dear participants, as ELTAI webinar 57, that is next Sunday on 20th June 2021, at 4:30, we have another session on proficiency and pedagogy, their role in developing ELT practices. We have with us three speakers, Professor Anita Tumuli and Professor Jyoti Prakash Tumuli and Miss Shreya Reddy. So we have moderators, Gambhir Singh and Burman Madam from what is called, what is called like that. So we request all the participants to join us next week for this webinar and make it as a success. And thank you one and all. We'll be meeting next week at 4:30. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you, ELTAI. Thank you very much.